Excuse the interruption, but I'm Macy Quilvane. Johnny, did you know that today is National No Socks Day?
I'm Johnny Heisler. No Socks Day? Uh-oh.
I'm getting a bad visual here.
Well, that would explain the weird look I got from Stat Boy in the dressing room. Hey Stat Boy, turn up the heat a few degrees. Commando time.
Hello boys and girls. Today we have over-under, heads on 6, and the big finish. But as always, we start off the show with headlines. Johnny, both North Star basketball teams are getting ranked. Do they deserve to be where they are in the polls?
The girls have been ranked number 1 all year, but you've had a very easy schedule so far. Only Bishop Ryan has been any good at all. You've had about a 30-point margin of victory in all those games. But a number 1 team like you guys should be beating those teams by 40 or even 50, but not 30. Maybe you're playing down to your competition a bit, but from what I've seen so far, I wouldn't call you a number 1 team.
Remember that we've had a running clock in almost all of our games. That cuts down on our scoring in the fourth quarter. We've averaged only 12 points in the fourth.
Whatever. We'll find out later this month when you play. Let me check my notes. Number 7, Langdon. Number 8, Lemoore. Number 5, Carrington. Number 2, Park River. And Rugby, who's receiving votes in the next 3 weeks.
But I suppose you think the boys deserve their number 2 ranking?
Why not? We were ranked number 7, but after 2 big wins over Christmas break and some losses by the teams ahead of us, we deserve to jump up a few notches.
You were ranked number 7, and then you barely beat 2 teams that weren't even in the top 10.
They were in the early polls, and they're still getting some votes. So you have to count Parshall and Ellendale as quality teams.
Not high-quality teams. The girls deserve their number 1 ranking way more than the boys deserve a number 2 ranking. And now that 4 wins has knocked you off, you'll be down to 5th or lower after tonight's polls come out.
I'm guessing the girls will lose at least 2 of those tough games this month. That will drop you lower than the boys. By the way, did you see that Preps has a rating system that puts you at number 13?
And that's the same rating system that puts you at 10th. Don't forget you guys also play 5 teams that are in the polls as well this month. And I can guarantee you won't be ranked in the top 8 after those games are done.
Well, here's something we can both agree on. The hockey team is doing much better than we anticipated on our last show. We thought they had lost too many seniors from last year's team for them to even have a good season, but they've really turned it around.
What are they, 8-3?
9-3. That's more wins than they had all last season.
The problem is, they haven't shown that they can beat the really good teams. Red River and Davies throttled them pretty good.
I'm not saying they're going to win it all, but it's a much more competitive team than they had last year. They have a rematch with Davies this weekend, and that will be a big game. If they win that one, they've got a good chance at finishing 3rd in the EDC. Even if they lose, they'll probably be no worse than 4th.
The Can-Do kids are making quite an impact on the team this year.
I don't think it's just coincidence that last year Kale was in the sports video class, and now this year he's one of the top scorers on the team.
I would say it's a total coincidence. And you were in the class last year, and you haven't improved any.
How can I up my scoring average when Riley shoots it every time he touches the ball? Give me a break. And speaking of breaks, it's time for us to take one so we can get some new hosts.
Welcome back. Now it's time for a game we call Roleplay.
Who am I?
You're Alec Miller, starting defenseman for the Firebird hockey team. Alec, you scored a goal in the first game this season, but haven't scored another one since. On the other hand, you lead the team in penalty minutes, and it's not even close. What gives?
Hockey isn't like basketball when everyone scores at will. Defense is important in hockey, and sometimes you have to get a little rough. Every hockey team has an enforcer, and I guess I'm that guy this year. All the other Firebird players are a bit,
Wimpy?
Thank you. Don't get me wrong, they're great players. Wyatt, Brady, Jacob.
Kale.
Oh, for sure, Kale. I mean, Kale's almost like a brother to me, but someone has to lay down the law in this game. That's my job. I wear a badge.
Who am I?
You are Stephanie Miller, the second leading scorer on the girls' basketball team. What's it like to have to play second banana to All-Stater Macy Quilvane?
It sucks. I'd be a superstar if she weren't on this team. Wait till next year. Then I'll show you.
And next year, you'll be triple teamed.
But I'll be able to take 3 times as many shots. I'm averaging 16 points a game this year, and no one outside of District 8 has even heard of me. It's always Macy this and Macy that. Macy, Macy, Macy. If she wasn't always getting double teamed and then dumping those passes to me under the basket for easy layups, I think I'd be better off without her.
And on that positive note, we'll take a break so Peyton and Kale can take over.
Welcome back. It's time for a little over-under. Stat Boy, what's the first one?
Thanks, guys. Number 1, over under 25. How many points will Macy average this year?
I'm going under. She's at just under 23 right now, and they're close to halfway through the season. It's hard to add over 2 points a game to your average when you get that far into the season. Plus, the remaining schedule is much tougher than what they've had so far.
I'm going to say over. We should have 14 more games this year. If she can average 27 in those games, it will bring her average to 25. We have tougher teams coming up, but that just means she'll be playing a full 4 quarters and will be the go-to player the whole game. I think she can do it. Stat Boy, what's the next one?
Number 2, over under 5. How high will the boys team be ranked at the end of the regular season?
They jumped from number 7 to number 2 after beating a couple of RV teams. They'll drop a spot or 2 in this week's poll, and they have 5 more games with teams that are in the polls. I don't see that turning out well. I'll say they'll be under number 5 by tournament time. Maybe well under.
But those 5 teams are currently ranked 9th, 10th, and RV. They beat Ellendale on the road, and that's a good win. I don't expect them to run the table, but I doubt they'll lose to both Carrington and Grafton on the road. And I would expect them to sweep the 3 big games that are at home. So I'm predicting they'll be higher than 5th in the final poll.
That's it for us. Now we go back to Johnny and Macy for the final segment.
Thanks, Peyton. And now it's time for the big finish.
Happy trails to the Shanley girls basketball team's 76-game winning streak. Fargo Davies beat them on January 3rd, and it didn't get a single post on North Dakota Preps.
Well, if you ask me, it's still not as impressive as North Star's 76-2 streak from 2009 to 2012. After all, Shanley gets to recruit from the biggest metro area in the state. We can only recruit from Leeds.
Johnny, Candu's 2 favorite dogs, Jax and Princess, have had pups. Which do you think is cuter, Boots or Socks?
Give me a break. Guys don't go gaga over puppies. Let me know when they're big enough to fetch a duck out of a slough, and then I'll tell you which one I like the best.
I can't help but think that if you had eyes like that, you wouldn't be up in the gym every Friday and Saturday night shooting baskets all by yourself.
Oh, ouch.
After sitting out the first 2 games, Devin Dugdale has seen some playing time. What has his presence added to the boys' basketball team?
We were pretty happy to have him back. We thought he'd give us some much-needed depth. But then he goes out and almost single-handedly cost us the Ellendale game when he committed a foul, then got a technical foul on top of that. And when it was all over, Ellendale had scored 7 points on a single possession. Fortunately, we were able to get the lead back and hang on for the win. But other than that, he's been great. We're all out of time. We'll try and do better next time. Good night, knuckleheads.
Good night, Candu.